So I noticed something in the beginning of this episode that I don't think I ever noticed before, but in the beginning when Lucifer's flirting with that cop, he points that gun at Chloe.
I know. I noticed that earlier this week on the timeline. I was like, I never saw that before. It's cute.
I can't believe he pointed a gun at Chloe. I'm a little mad at him for it. I mean, she shot him, but still. He's normally a little, like, he's more careful with her, but I guess in that episode he didn't care enough yet. He's like, yeah, let's point a loaded handgun at the detective.
I just want to talk about today. I just want to talk about all the flirting in that episode. Every single time they opened their mouths, it was to flirt, and I am absolutely, completely obsessed. Every single conversation was just flirting. Oh my god.
I literally love how much, I'll let you go in just a minute, Renee. I literally love how much Lucifer, like, babied his leg in this episode. And she was just like, you're such, like, just stop it. If I let you come along, will you shut up about the leg? All right, Renee, and then Kim can go.
It's like they're not in a couple at this point. They're like friends or like acquaintances. They just this is the episode that they become partners officially. Like the tension between them is really like deep.
Mm-hmm. And then going back to his leg when they're in the precinct and he's like playing with her, and then he like pretends to like limp on his leg, like he's really milking the whole shooting thing.
I will say that she's downplaying it a little bit because she's like, oh, it was just a graze. I'm like, the bullet got stuck in his leg, didn't it? Because I can't say her name. Rory shoots him in the same spot, and it's like the middle of his thigh.
Yeah, it wasn't just a graze. Like she shot him.
I love, like, okay, so you know my issues with Daniel in season 1, but I do like that he was more than he does for like the first 3 seasons. He was really actually looking out for her in this episode. He's like, if you're gonna work this case, you better look out for her because if you don't, I'm coming after you. And I loved that. Like he got some brownie points from me for that one.
You like that scene? I mean, I do too, but I was more I don't know, I was really into Lucifer in that whole scene, like sassing Maze and then sassing Dan, and like I feel like it was their first real like confrontation.
Oh, it definitely was. It's definitely one of the spots where they butt heads, but I don't know. I just really like that Dan actually stepped up and he wasn't just basically acting like Chloe can't do her job or she's not capable. He actually is just there to, tell Lucifer. And he for once doesn't call her his wife. His wife. He just says, "That's the mother of my child, and if you're not, if you can't look after her, you're not going to work this case." Which of course isn't up to him, but also, yeah, May's in this episode. I love her so much. There, like, obviously the final scene there with Chloe is problematic, but I love how she kicks like 15 people's asses all simultaneously. Oh shit.
I know, I love Maze in this episode. The opening is one of my favorites, and she is so beautiful in that opening scene. Like, it's probably one of the prettiest I think she's ever looked. I love that fashion show scene.
Renee, go ahead.
I'm not sure if you guys even noticed, but I started getting some vibes from Eve from when we made season 4. Like some of her behavior in this early season kind of reminds me of Eve. Like I'm not sure if you guys noticed it too.
You mean Maze?
Yeah.
How was she like Eve?
Encourage Lucifer wants to punish like Lucifer is getting more attention towards Chloe, but wanted me being around even back in season 2 she was seen eating an apple. It could be a nod to Eve later on.
Yeah, I agree that there's definitely similarities between Maze and Eve, but I would link it like the opposite way where Eve gets it. Like Eve obviously has a lot of those tendencies on her own, but I definitely think that she acquires them more like from Lucifer in the very beginning, and then she picks them up from Maze later on because, originally she was the first woman, and then Lucifer kind of tarnished her when he met her. And I think Maze just adds to that. I want to say too is like Maze in this episode, she has a lot of badass scenes, but I have noticed something a lot in the first probably like the first season or two. Like before she really warms up to Chloe, I feel like there was like a lot of hinting at the fact that Maze felt something for Lucifer. And like it's the same with Lucifer where he doesn't really grasp the concept of like, human emotions yet. But I think that she definitely felt something for him and or wanted him to feel something for her, because that final scene with them there, like you can definitely tell that she views Chloe as a threat and wants something more with Lucifer than what she has. All right, Kim, go ahead.
I know, there's always like, I don't know. I feel like there's always like a question of like, wait, did Maze like sleep with Lucifer or not? And it's like established in this episode that she was familiar with his backside and his front.
Yeah, they I know that they have like obviously she's like his bodyguard and stuff, but yeah, they were definitely active in that way a lot as well. And it gets hinted at throughout, but yeah, I just see it as like, despite Maze not really, and Lucifer, of course, not understanding human emotions, like you definitely see in this episode that she wanted more with him. And I think that that's part of the reason she was going to kill Chloe, is not only because she was threatening, her going home and her relationship with Lucifer, but Renee, go ahead.
Like even like on their final scene, like the at the very end of their last scene together, they're like very close, like together, like they're almost going to kiss, but the Lucifer like goes off like with a drink, and they're like, whoa, that's like really close.
Yeah, I never thought about that with Maze, but she's like jealousy is getting to her in that towards the end there, jealous of Chloe and how she can make Lucifer vulnerable and all that.
I like that the whole scene where she goes and she saves their asses and she's like, his ass, not yours. Just had to clarify, even though she did technically save Chloe's ass, she just had to clarify that she wasn't doing it for her. She did it just for Lucifer, and she could care less if Chloe got shot.
Just jumping off of Maze, because I feel like really in the beginning here, she's our connection to Amenadiel, who's then our connection to Linda. I love how much more of Linda we get as the series goes on. And then also just like Amenadiel kind of like persuading her with his smile. Like, I thought that was a fun little scene.
I'm sorry. I can't stand Amenadiel. And he's like, in the first season, he's a douche. Like, and I hate that he's using Linda, who is like, she doesn't have any connection to this. Like, yeah, she's Lucifer's therapist, but she's innocent in all of this, and he's just using and manipulating her, despite the fact that he doesn't like the fact that Lucifer does those things, and he views them as, like, evil, so to speak. He's doing it to Linda. He's manipulating her and trying to get things out of her that, like, he would frown upon Lucifer for doing. Renee, go ahead.
So it's like he's kind of do it just to get Lucifer to hell. Yeah, that's what his goal is. But like he, it's like it's his choice to do this. Like even though he believes he doesn't choose to do that, like he did put that out later on. But it kind of makes me think that's kind of selfish. Like, so it's not just Lucifer being selfish, like in this early season, but Amenadiel as well. Because I'm not gonna go towards. I'm not gonna rule hell because Lucifer's not going to.
Destiny, you can talk. I promise we'll be nice.
Do you guys have a favorite line from this episode? Because, I don't know, maybe I've watched the pilot too many times, but I'm like obsessed with how he says boring. And so I've caught on to like every time he says it and my ears just like perk up and I smile. That's probably my favorite word that he says. Go ahead, Destiny.
Actually, I'm like waiting to get my taxes done, so I'm just listening today. But hello, everybody. If you can hear me, I have a mask on. So, anyways, gonna go back to being silent.
Lucifer being a responsible adult today, I respect it. You're doing your taxes quite late.
Okay, judgment. Like,
I'm sorry, I said I'd be
I
nice.
had to, because I do a lot of freelance assignments for different publications, I have to wait for like all of them, all the receipts to come in. So, and this isn't even late. Like, I've done them late, like last year, because I was hoping the government wouldn't make us do taxes. Like, I didn't do them until like June. That was probably like the latest. So this is like on brand for me right now. But I don't mind going to jail for taxes, tax evasion. That's fine.
Kim, go ahead.
Well, we now have that on record, Destiny. But okay, getting back to Lucifer with the topic of the conversation.
We're supposed to be being nice.
Does anybody else have like a favorite line from this episode? Because that elevator scene, I'm still obsessed with that. Where you like, bloody hell, that hurt. Do it again.
I love that scene so much. I don't know if I have a favorite line from this one so much. It's just like certain things I pick up on. Like, I have favorite scenes. Like, I definitely like the scene at the end where Maze is like about to murder Chloe. And I really, like I said before, I just really love how much he milks his leg in this. I mean, at that point, it would be totally healed because he hadn't been around Chloe, so he's just being a baby for the sake of being a baby. Renee, go ahead, and then Kim.
For favorite lines, I could name a few. Like one thing, like Lucifer likes. I like that came like a gift. Like that I'm pretty sure a Lucy fan would use that every now and then. Like Lucifer likes. Um,
And then going back to talking about seeing Maze's face, I don't remember, but I don't think we see her like face that often, and it looks really like horrific in the mirror, I guess would be the way I would describe it. It's very scary. And then I really think in like the beginning of the series, they really liked showing like Lucifer's face and Maze's face and like really getting into that because it kind of flickers off as we get towards the end of the series, but it's been in every episode thus far.
Well, and I think the reason it flickers off towards the end is it's the same with Maze as it is with Lucifer. Is like maybe slightly less, but Maze and Lucifer share that thing where they both kind of view themselves as monsters. Like Maze has that entire conversation with God where, she doesn't want to be a demon anymore. She wants to have a soul and all that. Or just maybe not even not want to be a demon, but she wants to have a soul. So I think in some retrospect that she also feels that she is a monster and she doesn't want to be that anymore. But yeah, no, in regards to seeing her face, like I think we only see it like 3 times. We see it when she goes trick-or-treating with Trixie, we see it in this episode, and then we see it when she has that conversation with God about not wanting to be or wanting to have a soul. And I think that's it. I think those are the only times we see it. Whereas Lucifer, we see his a lot, especially in the beginning, which I'm gonna totally like make some people mad right now, but I still cannot. I don't like his face in the first 2 seasons. It looks. Everybody says it's scarier, but I think it looks a little more fake. No offense to the people who CGI'd it. You did a great job. I couldn't do it, but I'm sorry. It just doesn't look good.
I have nothing to add. But go ahead, Renee.
I must point out, like, in this episode, this where we see the precinct for the first time, but this is like this season's like the only time we see the police precinct in 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 that style. Like the rest of the seasons is like a completely different precinct, which we all get to feel comfortable with.
Do we not see the precinct in season 2?
I think she's saying this is the first time we see it, and because we're in season 1, like this is the first time we see it.
Yeah, like, because we don't after this season we are like in a different precinct, but in this season it's a whole different building. Like,
I thought they. I mean, I need. That's why we're doing a rewatch. I thought that they moved to the precinct in season 3, not season 2. But that's why we're doing a rewatch. So I will find that out soon.
I did want to add too, in regards to the actual case, what was the purpose of killing the pig? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not emotionally attached to the pig, but like, what purpose did that serve? Because they obviously like, I didn't really see the point for killing the girl either. Because if he's a master marksman, couldn't he just like miss and it like entirely not kill anybody at all? And then in regards to the pig, like what's the point in killing the pig? Kim and then Renee, or the opposite. I don't know who put their hand up first. Kim, go ahead.
It's okay. So he didn't kill the girl. So when he shot into the air, it scared everyone around them, and so they started running towards the exit. And then there was a stampede that ran over the girl, and that's how she died. He didn't shoot her.
I was like half listening while watching, so I completely missed that.
Go ahead, Renee.
So what happened to Paula? That was by accident. So when she got murdered, like Benny needs to improvise, and for killing Pig Diddy, that's just to add more blame to Yellow Viper, like to get the police like off Benny's tail and more focus on the Yellow Viper, like if it and also kind of sent Viper to jail again, even though he's really innocent. Like he didn't do anything, so that I think that's the reason why they killed Pig Diddy. And for Paula, that was just an accident. They just need to improvise.
Go ahead, Kim.
I was just gonna ask if you had like a favorite scene from this episode.
I mean, as I've already mentioned, that scene between Chloe and Maze, which you'd think I wouldn't like that because Chloe is my I can't talk, my baby. But I don't know, I really like it because it kind of like you kind of at the end, like obviously she's talking to Lucifer, she's like, I'm gonna protect you from danger even if you don't see it. So like it's funny how then they finally tie that into her viewing Chloe as a threat. And I really like, I don't think she so much views Chloe as somebody who's dangerous to Lucifer, more as like a threat to, like I said, her not going back to hell and like a threat to their relationship. And I really like, I don't know, I just love that they kind of did like a horror movie kind of play out with between Linda and Maze, Jesus, Amenadiel, where he just kind of appears. Renee, go ahead.
I think for my favorite moment is when, like, after Lucifer crashed Benny into the painting, Lucifer like, I know street art, but it's been more authentic to me now. And he kneels down, stares at Benny deeply, and thinks, I think I'll keep it. And it shows his devil face. Then we saw like Benny screaming, and then we just see Lucifer giving that smile. Like, I don't know what it is, but I actually like actually and like that moment, especially with that grin on his face.
I'm just thinking about all the flirting between Duck or Star. Like, ugh. Every time they open their mouth, seriously, it was like just flirting. And I'm loving this rewatch because it is like getting me like re-obsessed with them from the very beginning. And I'm loving it.
This is slightly off topic, but I want to know because this isn't one of my favorite cases. It's kind of all over the place for me. But out of the 5 episodes that we've seen so far, what has been your guys' favorite case that we've covered?
I think mine is the football one. I don't know why. I just have a lot of fun with that one.
I think for me, it's either the previous episode case, because it's quite interesting, like something we didn't go for, and I wouldn't pass the pilot episode either. Like I gotta like that case as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I totally agree. The pilot is so important because like that case sets up Lucifer for us. And then again with the episode 4, we don't know it yet, but it sets up like Lucifer as a character for us. And so it's fun to see like how not just how he gets tied into the cases, but like how the cases tie into him. And that's something that I love through the entire series is how the cases almost like reflect what's going on with his life.
Yeah, I think so far. To be honest, I don't pay a lot of attention to the cases, or more so like I just like get distracted by other things and forget what the cases are. But I definitely think like rewatching right now, for this rewatch anyways, that the pilot episode has been my favorite so far. Not only because of how it ties Lucifer in to Chloe's life and everything, but I really like that we just start right off the bat by giving Lucifer a healthy dose of trauma. Kim, go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking like now they are officially partners, so it's not like I feel like this is where it changes because the first 5 episodes it was, oh, this thing is happening around Lucifer, that's a case that he needs to contact Chloe, and now it's he is her partner, and so she's going to be contacting him even if she doesn't want to. Okay, we have a new case.
I literally love that scene because she's like, fine, you win, we're partners. Like she's not even gonna argue it. This whole entire episode, she's been complaining about having to interact with him, and then right at the end, she's like, fine. He's like, you're not even gonna argue. She's like, no, we're partners. And then leaves him with blue balls and like on the opposite side of town. I love it. It's like a girl boss move. I love it for her. Renee, Kim, go ahead.
Like it's really very clever of how the writers try to get Lucifer to get involved with the cases in some way. Like even on the previous episode, like Lucifer wasn't actually around for like the murder or the witness or anything. He was like actually invited to the players that Chloe needs to be in, so that's how Lucifer can get involved. um
I'm just thinking about how fun, is that the right word? Fun, funny, I don't know. So when Chloe says, fine, we're partners, Lucifer's like, okay, we want to consummate this relationship. And I'm like, that's funny. And then going back to the Dan scene when he's like, take care of her. And I'm like, okay, but he will later.
Yeah, for like friggin' 4 seasons from now, he will finally. Um, I really liked that they set up like not only how they Renee said how they set up Lucifer being involved in the cases, because I think a large part of the reason they did Lucifer's entire favored deal is so that he can find ways to tie into the cases without them having to do a huge workaround that might not make any sense in the end. They're like, yeah, his favors, he can somehow magically he knows the killer or he knows somebody connected to the case. And then there's something else I was gonna say and I forget what it was. Go ahead, Kim.
Oh, I was gonna say, and now we're really, I mean, we were in the first couple episodes, but now we're really getting into him, like, asking people, like, what do you truly desire? Like, he asked the model, and she said a cheeseburger, and then he asked Benny, and he said, I think it was Benny, and then he said Yellow Viper, and he said that he really wanted to just do his art, so we're getting into, like, how he can actually help with the cases with the desire thing.
You know what I've been watching for? And like just out of curiosity, because in these first 2 episodes, Lucifer obviously cares about Chloe. I mean, he fell in love with her in the pilot, so he obviously doesn't want her to get hurt. But I've noticed that like he hasn't really gone out of his way to protect her yet either. He actually kind of does the opposite and puts her in dangerous situations or like mocks Dan for wanting him to protect her. So I'm waiting. I'm trying to see what episode it is where he actually starts like stepping in front of her or, being like detective, like, stop it or whatever, like looking out for her. I'm curious to see when that starts. I don't know who raised their hand first. Renee, Kim, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, he's not protecting her at all, really, and that's why Dan got mad, because he's like literally throwing her in front of gun shootout.
like I think that's kind of part of his earlier character development. Like he was selfish, like during these moments, but I think at some point, like during this season, he'll gradually become more selfless, like and kind of does help Chloe out a bit. Like he did take care of Jimmy Bonds after he shot Chloe in the pilot episode.
It's
But yeah,
just,
it's gonna be fun because you're right. Like, at what point does he start like really like stepping in front of her and like protecting her and stuff? Just make me fangirl just all over the room.
now we're all gonna notice it when it happens. But yeah, no, I'm just like, it's so weird to me because he kind of flip flops, because obviously in the pilot episode he was like super worried when she gets shot, and like I said, that's when he falls in love with her, and like, and then the next two episodes he's obviously got some level of concern for her. So it's just so weird to see him flip back in this episode to where he's like, even though it's joking and I'm sure the safety is on and everything, later season Lucifer would never do this. He aims a gun at her, or like he's getting her involved in all these gang situations, and he just doesn't seem to have any regard for the fact that he's putting her in danger, and even goes as far as mocking Dan for, warning him, like, you need to look out for her if you're going to work this case. So it's just so funny to me to see it flip back and forth. Renee and then Kim, go ahead.
I just got like suddenly remember what happened this episode is at the bar when we meet Anthony, who is a partner to Malcolm. Now we know his name in this episode. And like this is like oh, I can't stand for this man's rudeness, and Chloe insists like he doesn't need him to stand up to her, but Lucifer's like, okay, I understood. And when he goes to Anthony, like, first of all, I know I intend to send up to my associate Detective Decker, and on myself and only myself, I think you're a complete sack of ass. And then he just punch him in the face. And um, and Chloe knows what's going to happen after that punch, so we gotta get out of there like as soon as possible.
Yeah, he's when it comes to his vulnerability and like getting physically hurt, he's like trying to see whatever will happen and like not caring that it might hurt her who's human. But then when it comes to like emote like to like words, like people saying mean stuff to her, he's like, no, how dare you, I'm gonna beat this guy up for you, and even if she doesn't want him to.
I don't know how I literally forgot about that part of it when I literally wrote down that I wanted to talk about that scene specifically, because I love that scene. It gives me life. Just the fact that he immediately goes to defend her. Like, yeah, point a gun at her in the beginning of the episode, but then some dude calls her a bitch and you're on your feet ready to fight. That makes sense, Lucifer. Good job. But I don't know, I love it. And I love that, like, there's like this room of like, I mean, I'm sure those other guys are cops, right? Because it's like a cop bar, and they mention it's like a cop bar. So I love that all of them just tolerated Lucifer punching him in the face. Kim, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and then when they get to the bar, like all the other cops are like, who's this guy? I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that and Palucci calling Chloe a bitch as they walk in is just, it's so funny because they have such disregard for both of them. And then later on, Chloe just absolutely freaking drags them all through the mud. Malcolm's case. I'm excited to get to Malcolm's case. I don't know. I have like mixed feelings about that episode. I think because I have it memorized, so I'm just like, okay, all right, we're gonna watch this one again. But at the same time, I'm really, really excited to get to it, because that's where you really, I think, I don't know about before that. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But in that one, I remember like you really see Lucifer step up to the plate to help Chloe out. Like, even though everybody else doubts her, and I mean, Dan just does it to cover his own ass, but like Lucifer like steps up to be there for her and be like, okay, well, let's prove them wrong. Kim, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, I'm excited for the future, and even just season 1. Like, we know what's coming in season 1, so I'm excited to get to more of that. Because seriously, I'm just sitting here thinking about Decker Star and all their scenes and all their flirting and all their good scenes that are to come, and I'm just so seriously, I'm getting like re-obsessed with them and this show through this rewatch, so I'm like very much here.
Oh, me too. This is another one of those episodes where it's hard for me to find things to talk about. Not because it's lacking anything. It's just one of those ones that really focuses on the case, and like you can only pull so much out of the cases. But yeah, no, the Decker Star scenes in this were top tier. Like I love the teasing and the banter, and then her final like, okay, fine, whatever, you win, we're partners. And I love her, like she does it in another when she's checking him for the vest too, like her just flirting with him just to like walk away and leave him with blue balls. It's the best. I love that for her. and I want her to do it more.
I'm just thinking about the top tier flirting as I'm going through my notes because like I said, every single time they open their mouths, it is to flirt, and it is just so much. I can't.
This is such a weird time of day to do our rewatch. Like, it's so early. I'm used to doing it really late and having to be quiet because the baby's sleeping, but it's like so early in the day. Aspen's not here, and I'm just like, this is weird. Like, everybody's probably still at work, and we're just sitting here having our discussion.
No one's working. It's Saturday. I mean, that's not true, but
True. Yeah, I was gonna say, I know a lot of people who work on Saturdays, Kim, just because you don't work Saturdays.
I don't work ever, so.
Accurate. That's an accurate point. We'll talk about that later. Anyways, back to this episode. I really like too how because like I keep mentioning it, but it's literally one of my favorite scenes in this, just because he's such an ass about it. His freaking leg, like, because not only does he later, like initially when they're having that car conversation in the other episode that we watched, he's like, oh, it just feels like a flick. I won't even bleed, and then he's like, oh, that really hurts, and then later on, like, it's totally better. There's nothing there, and he is just milking the hell out of it just for like just to pull her leg, just to fuck with her. He's like, oh, I'm not supposed to say the F word. I'm sorry, Kim. I'm breaking the rules. Renee, go ahead.
I'm just gonna call out for some Easter eggs in this episode, and this is only like a blink and you're missing moment, but we get to see Lucifer's file for Linda, and the number is 015666, which is the reference to that episode, which is season 1, episode 5, and the number of the devil or number of the beast.
That's a really good Easter egg, and I'm glad you picked that up, because I was trying to watch the folder, but I was more focused on like what was happening with the Amenadiel that I missed it. I really like that you actually get to see part of his file, and I hope that someday they release like the whole thing, and so we can just see what was written down. But I liked it. I don't know if it's in this episode that you can see it, or if it's in a later episode, but I know we learned that he has like low iron, and he has like sleeping issues, and like it's so funny to me that the devil has iron issues, and he like the insomnia though, we know that's a thing because we see that a lot in later seasons.
Speaking of iron issues, can we just like talk about how disgusting it is that he like licks the blood and then goes, well, it's definitely not human.
Yeah, that's really gross. And like, speaking of iron, like maybe I'm the only one making this connection, but I don't know, it's funny to me because like hell is like down, like it's celestial, so it's probably different, but the way I view it's like down in the earth, so there's like a lot of different metals and stuff down there, and he's just like, he's got low iron, but there's like all the, there's like copper and metal and like all sorts of stuff like in the earth's core, so like how does he have low iron? I'm being really scientific about it, but it bothers me.
I love this. I'm just like, I want to talk about Decker Star. You're talking about Lucifer's low iron. I just find that funny.
Okay, Decker Star, but the scientific things bother me because it's like he's like, you see how much rock surrounds him when he's down in hell, and he has low iron. Come on, that's not realistic.
Back to what I was saying, when Chloe locks him in the car and she's like, act like a child, get treated like a child. And then he's like, isn't it illegal to leave a child in a locked car? I find that part so funny.
That's another one of my favorite scenes from this one that I keep forgetting to talk about too, is just, and then he just ends up somehow breaking into that person's house. And she's like, how did you even get out of the car? And that's like, I think that's our first time that we see him able to manipulate locks. Kim, go ahead.
I just remember what my favorite line for this episode is. You are the oldest young person I have ever met, and coming from an immortal, that's saying something. I love that line.
Oh my gosh, yes. I loved how much he ragged on her age in this episode. Like that one, and then oh god, what was the other moment he did it? It was like the oldest young person, and then it was like her hearing, wasn't it? He was picking on her hearing, or he's like, you're having a senior moment. Renee, go ahead.
And then, in the parallel to that line is that Linda, all the way to season 5, says he's like the youngest, most immature person in the world, nay universe. So it's just like, it's kind of a flipped description on each other. It's like,
I pressed the wrong button and we were quiet for a minute there. Sorry. What was I going to say? Oh, and then my other favorite part is that when Chloe's like, "You're addicted to creating chaos. You have a god complex," and then he's like, "I most certainly do not." And just anytime they bring up God around him.
He gets so offended. I love it. I was just making comment on what you were saying because I didn't mute it, and I was supposed to be talking to myself, but I didn't have it muted like I thought I did. I'm sorry.
Anything else we want to talk about with this episode? Because I did love the Decker Star, but
Decker Star is good. This is just another one that I struggle with in regards to the case because there's just not as much to pull from it. Like there was last episode. Last episode we went on for like an hour and 45 minutes just talking about that episode. What is our next episode? Hang on, I'm gonna check. I'm not gonna be muted for a minute, so ignore any noise. But
Renee, you had something you wanted to say.
I don't know if it muted me or not. It started playing Lucifer when I opened Netflix. I was like, so mind my language. I'm sorry. Hang on. Okay, our next episode is obviously episode 6, but personal possession is stolen. Lucifer sets down to track out the culprit. Oh, is that where he loses his wings? Someone steals his wings. Is that episode? Did you put out an APB on wings? Maybe. Close line. Renee, go ahead.
So for that episode, nah, he didn't give any hints what is in the container until the very end of the episode. So it kind of builds up the tension for that episode. And back to this one after that in between between Lucifer and Chloe about the favors, it kind of got Lucifer thinking for a moment, if I'm doing these favors, if someone's being caused, some actions being caused because of the favors I've been doing, it really got him thinking of with his favors.
You know what I love? I just actually made this realization, so thank you for mentioning that, Renee. But yeah, you're right. In this episode, he kind of gets thinking oh, people are getting hurt because of my favors. But he doesn't really care because obviously he continues to do them. But in season 6, you see that parallel because that cop that he meets in season 1 comes back and he's like, he lost his wife and he lost his house, but he's on drugs and all these terrible things. And Lucifer's like, oh my God, I'm out here ruining people's lives.
yes. And then going back to what you were saying, so the next episode is iconic, but also I think every episode after episode 5 is iconic. I don't know. They're all great.
Hang on, I'm gonna go back and look. I don't remember all of them in the right order. But yeah, I'm excited for the scene. I don't think it's till episode 7, but I love that scene where Dan's like, did you put out an APB on wings? And Chloe's like, maybe. It's just one of my favorites.
Just a tease for next time. Trixie eats chocolate cake and Maze gets Dan drunk and then puts him in a pink velour suit.
Oh my God, yes. I'm excited for the next episode. I'm excited for the rest of this season, honestly. What I'm nervous about is season 3 because season 3 drags so much when you're watching it because of Pierce. But just getting on here and doing discussions for 28 episodes is going to be a lot. Kim, go ahead. Renee, go ahead.
I feel like we're gonna have fun in season 3. I mean, I'm excited for our whole rewatch, but I feel like we're gonna have fun in season 3. We're just gonna drag Pierce for 90 minutes a week. It'll be fun.
Sure, for season 3 has the lot of episodes. I mean, it's a season with the most episodes, but the thing is in some of the season 3 episodes are individual episodes anyway, so we can still discuss even with the Gretch extending, we can still talk.
Oh no, I'm definitely very excited for season 3. I just think it's gonna drag and that maybe people won't be as interested. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, I'm excited to drag Pierce for 90 minutes every week. And I think that'll give us a lot to talk about. Is just the tension and the jealousy with the love triangle that they've got going on in season 3. I'm excited. I don't know if it's in season 3. I don't remember, but Orange is the New Maze. I'm excited to get to that. That's literally one of my favorite episodes, and I keep mentioning it, but I'm so excited. Somebody else talk.
If you knew what was playing in my head right now, you'd be laughing. Oh my god. I don't know why, but I was thinking of from SpongeBob, and I don't know why for season 3. I don't know. Okay, it'll make no sense. Somebody else talk. Oh my god.
You'll have to explain it to me later. But yeah,
I will.
I am out of things to talk about in regards to this episode. Like, it's just one of those hard ones for me. There's a couple of them in season 1 because we're just getting started and the build-up is still happening. But Renee, go ahead.
Okay, I got like a question for you two, as well as for others if they can join. Like, I did mention one Easter egg, which is what Lucifer's client number. But have you spotted any other Easter eggs in this episode?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I was only half watching, but I literally, one of my favorite things normally is to look for Easter eggs. I'm glad you noticed that one. I don't think I personally noticed any others, or maybe I did and I'm just not thinking of them. But Kim, if you have any, go ahead.
I know someone mentioned that the coffee place where they go, it's called like Ezekiel's or something. It has something to do with an angel, and I just thought that was funny that somebody had noticed that.
I'm gonna check our notifications. Hang on. Because yeah, somebody mentioned the Beelzebub. Like, I think it's meant to be a twist off of like Beelzebub, like the other name for Lucifer.
Hey, at least I remembered that somebody said it.
Oh, you're good. I forgot they wanted us to mention that. Sarah Batten wanted us to mention it. So shout out to her. But yeah, I think it's meant to be, at least the way I'm viewing it, is it's meant to be a twist off of that other name for Lucifer. And I like, there's a lot of Easter eggs you can find in this show. Like, I like how the one episode, I don't remember what episode it is. I just remember they're like walking into like a boxing area or something. But up on the wall, like around the doorway, you can see all the signs for like all the like previous episodes. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I hope you guys understand. All right, I'm out of things for this episode. If anybody else has anything else they want to add, but otherwise, I think this actually might be our shortest rewatch discussion. But I think we can oh my gosh, if I could talk, we can wrap it up unless somebody has something they want to add.
And in this episode, I gotta like point out, like, this is like one of the early examples of Chloe seeing Lucifer in a lot different from everybody. Like Olivia, who's supposed to be like the main boss of the precinct, like, sees Lucifer in a charming way, and Chloe's like looking at her like, why are you fascinated with this idiot? It's like one of the early examples of Chloe looking at Lucifer in a different way.
Yeah, I love the look that she gives the lieutenant when she's basically flirting with Lucifer. I love the look that Chloe's just like, what is wrong with you? Like, what did he do to you? Because like everybody responds to him that way and she just doesn't get it. She doesn't get why everybody thinks he's so great. And I love that. I love it. It's great. I love our little miracle baby. And I'm really excited to see more of it. But I also want to say that I think that she's not as unaffected by him as she thinks she is. Like, she obviously finds him attractive, and I definitely think if it weren't for the stick up her ass, she would have slept with him already.
I'm obsessed with the flirting, so I'll just be over here shipping Decker Star. That's all.
All right, are we good to wrap up then, guys? Anybody else have something they want to add?
No, we are good for this week. I am really happy with this episode. Thank you for hanging out with us, Renee, and everybody else.
Yeah, it was great talking to you guys. We will see you, what is it, Tuesday next week, Kim?
Yeah, March 1st is when we'll be back.
All right, cool. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.